Hi, it's Michelle. I figured that since May is winding down, I should jump on and share with you all how I knew that I had a brain tumor. So this was back in 2016. I was on vacation with my girlfriends and we were at a restaurant and I couldn't sign my name. I couldn't uh, duplicate my signature that was on my driver's license. And where we were at, they had, I guess, a lot of fraud. So she's like, you have to match your signature to your driver's license. And after 20 tries, I just couldn't. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I hadn't been drinking, nothing. So she thankfully let us leave. So looking back, I think that was probably the first noticeable sign was I was losing coordination in my hand. It was my right hand at the time. And then I started falling and I just for no reason at all just started falling, and obviously that's not normal. But the first time it happened, I just kind of blew it off till I lost my balance. And then what happened, starting November, I started to hear a ringing in my ear, as if you go to a concert and when you leave, you have this feeling that, your hearing is off and you have to adjust for a little bit. Well, I kept hearing that ringing in my ear, which turned into hearing my heartbeat in my ear. This is in my left ear. And I fell a few more times. And then after, I started to have this very bad, very severe pressure on the back of my head. And for those who are just joining, I'm just talking about how I knew I had a brain tumor. And since it is Brain Tumor Awareness Month, I figured I would just share what I went through personally. So when the ringing and the heartbeat in my ear happened, I was at my doctor's and for a different condition. So I had him check my ear and he's like, oh, there's just a little water in there, just kind of blew me off and didn't take everything that I was saying seriously. So I trusted this doctor, so I didn't really put too much into it. But then, like I said, I started to have severe pressure on the back of my head, the left side, to the point where I couldn't really even put my head down on the pillow without being in extreme pain. So I wasn't able to really use my right hand. I started to hear my heartbeat in my left ear, tinnitus, or tinnitus, whichever you choose, which is a ringing in your ear in addition to the heartbeat. And then falling for no reason, the extreme pain in the back of my head. So I finally went to my ENT and explained everything that was going on. And he's like, I highly doubt that you have a brain tumor, but let's just check. So I went in for an MRI, and then a few days later, I got the phone call. He told me over the phone, he's like, Michelle, I hate to tell you this, but you do have a brain tumor. I need to see you in the office. And so I went in, that was a Thursday. He was wanting me to come in the next day, but I had a follow-up for him on that Monday. So I just kind of needed to absorb what he said to me. So I just kept the Monday appointment. And from there, that's where I started going to see different neurosurgeons. And I ended up going to Thomas Jefferson, and I didn't like the ENT skull-based surgeon I saw there. Then I went to another neurosurgeon who only did gamma knife, which is radiation, but he said I wasn't a candidate for that because I think the size of it So then I ended up at NYU Langone. I was told I had the two best neurosurgeons. I had the head neurosurgeon and his partner, a neurootologist they both specialize in skull base brain surgery. So I explained to they knew my condition before I went to see them, because you get to a certain point where you have to submit all of your medical records before they'll take you on as a patient. So I obviously had documented and forwarded them my information, that the MRI results. So I had an appointment with both of them on the same day. I went in and they said, obviously you need to have this taken out. So I decided to move forward with surgery at NYU Langone. I today, unfortunately, regret that decision because I woke up and I had trigeminal neuropathy, neuralgia, for basically everyone understands that, but it's TN1, TN2, and anesthesia dolorosa, which means I have TN1, TN2. So if you know what that is, that's, the constant pain with, that never stops with, you'll get the electrocution, you'll get the muscle tightening, you'll get the muscle contraction. It feels like your eyes being pushed out of the socket. Your teeth, it feels like your teeth are cracking or being electrocuted. And then on top of that, I can no longer feel the left side of my face. So it sounds weird, but that's what happened. I can't feel the left side of my face, yet it's always in pain. But symptom-wise, like I said, falling for no reason, ringing in ear, heartbeat in ear, pressure on the back of my skull, the headaches, but it wasn't anything abnormal headache-wise. But I would just suggest that if you have any symptoms that you feel need to be addressed, don't let your doctor dismiss you like the one dismissed my symptoms. And it was funny because when I was on my way to visit the neurosurgeon at Thomas Jefferson, who I didn't go with, who now that's a whole nother story with who I chose and the results, the end results. I'll talk about that in a minute. But don't let any doctor dismiss your results. But as I was on my way to Thomas Jefferson, it was funny because I did have an appointment with this doctor as a follow-up. And for something, I have asthma as well. So they called me to remind me about my appointment. And so while I'm on the phone, I'm like, sorry, I can't make it. And can you tell Dr. So-and-so I have a brain tumor? And so I let him sit on that. After he dismissed me as just having some ear in my water. So my point is, don't let any doctors dismiss you or your symptoms. Find a doctor who takes you seriously and goes the extra mile, will order a test. You're better to have the test and rule something out than to not have the test and have it become more of a problem later down the road. Brain surgery is not something you want to wait for until you're older. There's more risks involved. The whole thing with NYU Langone and Dr. Golfinos and Dr. Thomas Rowland. Like I said, I regret going with them. I didn't have trigeminal neuralgia, anesthesia dolorosa before brain surgery, and now I have it. And the only thing that I can say is that I've transferred my care. I went and saw, because she's such a great person, I connected with @BrainyLeslie on Instagram, and I was discussing my case. and she was kind enough to allow me to send her my scans. So I did, and she is the physician assistant to Dr. Betterson at Mount Sinai. So I asked her if they would be kind enough to take on my case for follow-up care, because you have to have MRIs each year. I'm not sure for how many years after your initial surgery, but you do have to have follow-up care. You have to have an MRI once a year. So she said, send me your scans, and I did. And then I made an appointment, and I really would love for you to listen to this part of the story because it's absolutely amazing. I get goosebumps when I tell it, and I still can't believe it happened to me and Leslie, but it did. And today's a very special day, May 22nd. And if you stick with me, you will probably be crying at the end of this or have goosebumps yourself. So Leslie went out of her way to look at my scan. She's like, come up, let's see you. I went, this was in January of 2018, 2019, something like that. And I was super depressed. I canceled my appointment. I was just like, I can't deal with this, the TN, AD. I was done. I was over it. I was in a deep hole. If you have TN, you know what I'm talking about. So I was like, something clicked in me. I watched the documentary Heal, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden I became motivated again. I became like Rocky Balboa. I was like, nothing's going to stop me now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of it. We're going to find a solution. Even if we didn't find a solution, I wanted to see Leslie and see if they had any additional treatments. So with that being said, I make an appointment April 22nd. Everything falls on the 22nd. So I see her, but the day before, I'm shopping with my mom. I said to my mom, I want to get Leslie something because she's been so good to me, and she didn't have to go above and beyond as she did and look at my scans and take me on as a patient. Even though they didn't do the original surgery, she would monitor my MRIs going forward. So, and just the chats we had on Instagram. So I saw a necklace. Had a penny on it and a angel wing, and it had a very deep spiritual poem, and it went into Penny from Heaven, somebody's watching over you. And I thought the poem was a little deep, but I felt it was right, and it just felt like the right gift. And so with that, I bought two. I bought one for myself and I bought one for Leslie. And so we go up the next day and I'm waiting in the room and she walks in. She's super tall. I think she's like close to 6 feet, maybe even taller. I'm not sure. So, but she's super tall. She gives me this huge hug and she said, Michelle, I feel like I've known you forever. So we go into her office. We do a really in-depth, it was about an hour and a half that she spent with me, and Dr. Betterson came in and they went through so many things that I wish I knew going into surgery that I wasn't told about, that I wish my original neurosurgeons would have told me about. So even if I did wake up with TNAD, I would have known, but they didn't. They didn't tell me this was even possible. I didn't even know it was possible. How can you not feel your face but be in pain? And crying makes it worse, so here I am crying. So anyway, at the end of, getting off track, at the end of the appointment, I hand her the necklace. And I said, I got something for you. And she's like, you got something for me? I'm like, yeah. I said, you've been so kind and so generous with your time when I wasn't even your patient. And so she opened it. And that's why I felt it was so important to do this live today. So she opens it and she gasps. And she's like, I'm in a chair. She's sitting sideways to me, so I'm watching her open it, and I see her face look like shocked. So she looks at it, and then she looks at me. She's like, Michelle, my sister died, and my mother told me that whenever I get a penny, it's a penny from heaven, and it means that your sister is with you. And she just looked at me, and I know I got goosebumps, because I was like, I looked at her and I was like, I didn't know. I just felt like I needed to get you this necklace. I felt pulled to it, like that this was it. And she's like, how would you basically know that my sister died and about the penny from heaven? And she might have cried. I don't remember. Everything was just a blur kind of after that. And so it was just one of those powerful moments where I felt that my situation that led me to her, even though I was in so much pain and I have this condition, something good came out of it, because I brought Leslie some peace, knowing that her sister, who died on May 22nd, 2002, was still with her. And it felt like everything, all of my suffering, in a way, felt like it had meaning, because I was able to give this gift to Leslie. And just a little backstory on Leslie, at Brainy Leslie, if you don't follow her. She's amazing. Amazing PA. So with that, found a website link that went into more detail about Leslie's sister, Elizabeth. She didn't tell me her name. She didn't tell me what happened. She just told me that her sister died and about the penny from heaven. So with that, I did a little research, because she posted something about her mother on Mother's Day, and her mom has a link to Elizabeth's foundation in her bio on her Instagram page. So her sister was murdered by her ex-boyfriend. Elizabeth and Leslie were on their way home, went into their parents' house, were downstairs for a while, from what I recall from the story. The ex-boyfriend had already illegally entered the house, went up into Elizabeth's bedroom, and was waiting for her to come upstairs. So Leslie and Elizabeth were downstairs, not knowing that Elizabeth's ex-boyfriend was upstairs waiting for Elizabeth to murder her. So Elizabeth and Leslie go upstairs, and there he is. And he shoots and murders Leslie's sister in front of her. Leslie ran out of the house, ran to the neighbors, and they called the police. And that is why May 22nd has such meaning, because as I'm reading this and as I'm digesting what I'm reading, the penny from heaven gift, if that wasn't enough, that next day after my visit with Leslie, she's like, you need to have an MRI, you need to see the pain management doctor. I made an appointment, and the appointment date was for May 22nd. Now, at that time that I made the appointment for May 22nd, I had no idea about Elizabeth's murder and that it fell on May 22nd. So everything just aligned. And so as much as I hate this horrific condition that I have, that we suffer through, there are going to be moments when you are going to, through your condition, bring peace or strength to somebody who you might not know, that you are doing that and giving them that gift. Now, oh God, that story just, if you go to my website, it's on there. It's just, it's a rough one, but a beautiful one. And, like I said, if you don't follow Brainy Leslie, she's really informative. She's a great follow. We were hoping to do a live together during Brain Tumor Awareness Month, but she's just so busy. So I understand. So we were trying to make it happen, but it didn't. So here I am. But so I also found out that I have another brain tumor. This time it's on the right side, and I did start noticing pressure on the top right. But this one, I think they said had calcified, but that at this time it doesn't need any treatment. Some, like Brainy Leslie likes to say, it's not the size that matters, it's the location. So my original brain tumor was right by my brainstem, pushing on my brainstem. It wrapped around a major artery, and it affected, I think, up to 4 cranial nerves. I also am now deaf in my left ear from the brain surgery. I wasn't deaf before the brain surgery. And so the new tumor that's on the top right, which, like I said, I think they said is calcified. But regardless, at this time, it doesn't require any treatment, which sounds weird. Why would a brain tumor require treatment? But it just depends on the location, and if it's pressing on any like important arteries or cranial nerves, skull base. I wish Leslie was on right now because we could talk about it. There I see my coworker, Victoria. I see you facing pain, Teresa. Hi, guys. A skull base brain surgery is the most intricate because it's right around the brainstem, and that's where all of the major cranial nerves, which I didn't even know about a cranial nerve pre-brain surgery, but post-brain surgery, I feel like I know everything about cranial nerves, and especially now with TN1 and 2 and then AD, I've done enough research where I feel like I can be a doctor at this point. I'd probably be a better surgeon than my original 2. So that's where I'm at. Like I said, beginning when I first started this live, I was talking about my symptoms and how I knew something was wrong. And just before I sign off, just follow your gut. And if you feel that something is wrong, definitely listen to, your body, what's going on, and don't let a doctor dismiss you. Like my first doctor dismissed me as just having water in my ear. So, yeah. I just wanted to share with you a little bit of my story about how I knew I had a brain tumor. The second one was kind of a surprise, but maybe not so much, because I did feel tingling up here, and I did feel some pressure and some tenderness on this side. But we're just going to watch and wait with that one. That's a term, if you have a brain tumor, that a lot of neurosurgeons use, where they will watch and wait. They monitor it with yearly MRIs, and because there are slow-growing tumors and there are fast-growing tumors, it just depends on the type of tumor they think it is, or they know that it is, whether you will go into the watch and wait category or if you need surgery. And once again, it depends on the location of the tumor. It goes into deciding if you will have surgery or not. So, with that being said, I am going to sign off. I hope you took something away from this. The main part being stand up for yourself. Keep going until you find the right doctor that's going to listen to you. And just know that something good always comes out of something dark. So I hope that my story about Brainy Leslie gave you some hope. And yeah, I really appreciate anyone who watched and is watching now or watches later. And I'm going to, hopefully, I've never done a live before, so I'm going to have to figure out how to stop this and then to save it. So I hope you all have a beautiful Sunday, and thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, now I have to figure out how to turn this off. I guess I just hit this X. Okay, bye everyone.